Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. South Africa could end up closing its gold and platinum mines if it fails to introduce new ways of mining. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer tells us more. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks, Shannon.
Why is it imperative for South Africa's mining industry to change the way it mines hard rock and narrow reef mines?
The whole business plan is going awry. The economic model is no longer making sense because, you're sending thousands upon thousands of people underground to do a very labor-intensive job. And those people are now saying, the risk-to-reward ratio is not in their favor, and they want far more money. So we hear of this minimum mantra of 12,500 Rand per entry-level employee, and people are saying, look, perhaps you do deserve that if you're working in these sort of conditions. The only problem is that the economics, your business model collapses, particularly in view of the low metal prices. So they're saying a total rethink is needed now in what we call the hard rock narrow vein sector. It's not what they do with coal mining or what they do in open cast mining. This is underground mining where the actual gold is in a very narrow band. And it's called a narrow reef, and it runs at a dipping level, sometimes of 23 degrees, and in the case of platinum, sometimes 10 degrees. And you have to try and extract that through drilling and blasting, and it's normally a manual drilling process. And they then prepare the blast, leave the mine, and then once all the dust is over, they come down and what they call clean. That means they get the broken rock out and bring it to surface and process it. So that long-standing way of doing things now has outlived itself, and people are saying, look, unless you change, if we're going to go into these situations with such labor intensity and such demands, maybe correct demands, these mines might as well start thinking of closing because their horizon is being quite sharply cut.
It also seems quite wasteful to do it that way.
It's very wasteful to do it the way we're doing it because with the blast, you pulverize all that precious mineral and it gets scattered far and wide, and you're not collecting enough of it when you start doing your cleaning process. And this is a national patrimony, so we should really be looking after it in a way that we get a much higher recovery than the 65% in platinum and 70% in mining. So they call it the mine call factor. That's the thing that has always embarrassed all the mining industry because it's really the recovery factor. How much of that precious metal do you recover from what the geologists say is there? And it's normally far lower than 100%, down at 70%. So you're losing a very big proportion of it. And that means that if you recovered that, it would be tantamount to a price increase. And we know the prices are down at the moment. So better mining methods would make the business case far stronger.
Now, you spoke to Rod Pickering this week at WITS,
yes,
and his words echoed those of Dr. Robbie Robinson, who advocates selective blast mining.
Yes. Well, selected blast mining makes sure that you get a better mine call factor. It makes sure that you get more of that precious metal because you are fracturing the rock rather than smashing it into smithereens. And therefore you're getting bigger pieces, you're getting nice big chunks of reef. And you're not having to take the non-gold bearing or non-platinum bearing rock to surface, which is a costly operation. And that is normally called dilution. You dilute the value of that precious metal because you're now mixing it with waste rock, as they call it, or non-gold bearing rock or non-platinum bearing rock. You're just mixing it all up with unpay. It's not paying you to bring that up. It's just causing you a cost factor. And with the selected mine blasting, you get rid of that cost factor because you actually blast into the back. So all that waste goes into the back of the stope and is used as a very firm backfill. So that gets put in to hold the whole structure up after you've excavated, which is also important from a safety point of view. And if the width of your reef is only, say, 300 millimeters or 400 millimeters, the minimum you've got to blast out is a meter. That you have to do in order to allow access, human access. with the new system, you don't have to have, that same sort of imperative. You can just get the precious metal part of it out, and you make sure that you don't have to take that waste to surface, and that is immediately used as a backfill, as a support, which makes things safer.
Now, we know that these can be implemented almost immediately. They seem to be advocating this rather than new technologies, new ideas.
Yes, and also what Rod Pickering is wanting to do is he adds the mechanization to that selected blast mining type of approach. So he's saying you've got the best of both worlds now, because you mine in a mechanized fashion, so you're not putting people into the vulnerable areas. They're on the periphery of the activity, and they machine mediated. So therefore their productivity should go up, and if their productivity goes up, you can pay them more. And then there are going to be fewer people down there. So you mechanize and you introduce the new blasting in one go. And this gives you a leap into an economic realm that makes things far more attractive, gives you less vulnerability to the people, increases your safety, use fewer people, and that, of course, in itself is protecting human life from potential danger, because when thousands of people are going down every day, it becomes a real risk factor. Fewer people go down, you do the mechanization and the select mine blasting in one go, and you cut down your cost dramatically, because your mine call factor lifts dramatically. And you can also do other things along the way with crushing, and you can change the way you actually process that metal to extract even more costs. To reduce even more costs and get more wealth out of the mining, which is essential at the moment, given the low metal prices.
How have the mining industry reacted to this?
It was quite interesting from the Centre of Mechanized Mining at WITS. Their last course was attended by 40 people. So it shows that the mechanization, the penny is starting to drop. So the mining industry made sure that 40 of its people went on this course. They're also introducing master's degrees now in mechanization. So that gap we had in the recruitment in the 80s, when mining became very unattractive and people didn't want to go into mining, that has left a sort of a management gap, which they're trying to fill now, and trying to fill it in a way where you don't encourage mining to take place in the conventional way, which has become uneconomic, but you get people studying the management of a mechanized system before they even get to the mine, which means that their minds will be set on doing something very differently, rather than going according to the old 100-year way of doing things. And in that way, they are starting to grow the human resource, which we were lacking. We are getting a lot of people doing mining now. The courses have been well patronized by new students coming through, mainly black students, a lot of black women students. And so, they're very encouraged by the number of people coming through. But those people need mentoring. And there's now been a gap because of that lack of recruitment at a crucial time in the 80s and 90s, when things weren't so attractive. And they're trying to make sure that they can catch up now through the centre, putting people through a lot of these courses on mechanization and all the new ways of thinking. And at the same time, getting people to do master's degrees and doctorates, because they want a bit of research element as well. And then there could be a mentoring process for these younger students coming through. And it's essential for them to get some sort of new direction, otherwise they're going to follow the old paths.
It sounds very positive.
I hope it is.
Thank you very much.
It's a great pleasure, Shannon.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on South Africa's mining industry.